Coming up on UCF Nightly News, learn more about alarming information Arden Villa's residents noticed in their contracts.
Hear about the new malaria vaccine developed to help children in affected areas.
We'll also tell you how the Haitian community at UCF is responding to the immigration crisis.
In sports, learn more about the impact of losing a player and how that will affect the rest of the team for the rest of the season.
Nightly News starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Julianne Amaya.
And I'm Beatriz Oliveira. Today is Friday, October 15th, 2021. Arden Villa's residents noticed alarming information in their residency contracts. Residents continue expressing safety concerns. Some installed home security in order to feel safe, but others noticed that the contracts had specific information regarding resident safety. They state Arden residents' security footage is for the sole benefit of the owner's property. It also states they do not guarantee the presence of security will prevent crime, nor do they have the obligation to obtain background checks from tenants. Residents say this concerns them. Nightly News reached out to Arden Villas, but we have not heard back yet. Nightly News will keep you updated.
A new UCF study recently published in the Journal of Applied Psychology focuses on how employees treat sick coworkers. Researchers found that employees were less likely to mistreat a sick coworker if they had shown empathy. The study recommends policymakers pass legislation to ensure that workers are not forced to choose between their financial demands and their health. One of the lead researchers, UCF Associate Professor Dr. Shannon Taylor, says showing up to work sick will have long-term negative effects.
Not only, are sick employees more likely to spread their illness, to others, but they're not as productive, and they can also be mistreated by their healthier, colleagues.
Dr. Taylor says the solution to the problem is allowing sick workers to stay home.
The FDA approved Moderna's COVID-19 booster shot this morning. The panel will meet next Friday to discuss the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Nightly News will keep you updated. The development of COVID-19 vaccines lead to new technologies in the medical field research. The Vaccine Health Organization came out and said they recommended the new malaria vaccine for children. They say children in Africa are at the highest risk of transmitting the disease from mosquitoes. Professor Deborah Chakrabarti is the head of UCF's Molecular Microbiology Division. He says that because of the development of the COVID-19 vaccine, researchers were able to come out with the malaria vaccine.
With a large investment in the COVID vaccine, that has also the effect on other vaccine development through these newer technologies.
The malaria vaccine has been developed for 30 years. The WHO expects a 40% reduction of malaria cases. So far, over 2.3 million doses of malaria vaccines have been given.
The border crisis is still one of the Biden administration's biggest challenges. A group of UCF students took an assignment trip to the U.S.-Mexican border and created a documentary to raise awareness. Nightly News reporter Okelo Pena tells us more about the impact of the film.
Spring of 2020, UCF Legal Studies professor Irene Pons took 4 students on a trip to film a documentary on the U.S.-Mexican border crisis called The Break for Impact. Pons says they visited Texas, where they met organizations to help with donations and walked the journey to enter the U.S. When Public Health Order Title 42 was enacted by the Trump administration, Pons says they were unaware of what was to come.
When we went to the grocery store, we got there and we were like, the shelves were empty. There was no toilet paper. There was no tortillas. There was nothing. And that's when it hit us. And we're like, holy cow, this is serious.
Pons says the risks were worth the cause. The film won the Suncoast Regional Chapter Emmy in December 2020, and A Break for Impact became a nonprofit. Pons also added the success of the project helped to aid their most recent trip to Arizona in June to film Part 2. Helping to fight the growing humanitarian crisis, Pons and her students discovered heartbreaking facts about the treatment and fate of Central American asylum seekers. Gabby Carpenter, an interdisciplinary studies major, says the Texas trip was an eye-opener and hopes the film can bring awareness to the issue.
So not even just the southern borders, but the northern borders, and just honestly have greater impact throughout like the whole United States.
The next trip is to the California border in spring 2022. In Orlando, Okelo Pena, UCF Nightly News.
Thank you, Okelo. Pond says that part 2 of the documentary is set to air at the Fort Lauderdale Film Festival next month. To find out more about the cause, visit abreakforimpact.com.
The Haitian immigration crisis is still an ongoing issue at the U.S. border. Nightly News reporter Tania Sims tells us how the community and how his UCF is responding to the immigration crisis. The following images may be upsetting to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Tens of thousands of Haitian migrants who tried to cross the U.S. border at Del Rio have now been forced out of the country. Some migrants are being sent back to their countries without being able to seek asylum. UCF Haitian Creole and French professor Nick Mercagel Gutierrez says she grew up in Haiti. She says her father was murdered in front of their family home.
If I were to still be living in Haiti, I would want to move somewhere different because I would be terrified.
Under the U.S. policy Title 42, certain migrants are not able to enter the U.S. Title 42 was enacted by the Trump administration to slow the spread of COVID-19 by not allowing migrants to enter at the border. UCF NAACP President Fredson Janvier says the mistreatment of Haitians at the U.S. border is disheartening.
There's really not much love when it comes to our third world or other minority countries, especially with the American citizens who inhabit there as well.
Professor Gutierrez encourages the UCF Haitian community to talk about their feelings about what's going on in Haiti.
Because sometimes you don't need someone to solve your issues, but you just want to feel that you are understood.
Gutierrez says compassion and understanding for families affected near and far from the border is important. In Orlando, Tania Sims, UCF Nightly News.
Nightly News will keep you updated on the latest of the Haitian immigration crisis.
In other political news, the infrastructure bill is at a standstill in the House of Representatives. House Democrats are struggling to unify the party to pass the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. The bill would provide federal funding for improving roads, bridges, and much more. The Senate has already passed the bill with the support of 19 Republicans. If the bill is passed, states can improve poorly conditioned roads, bridges, highways, and increase transportation safety. Hey Zoe, Beatriz and I were thinking about heading to Universal after the show. How's the weather looking?
Well, Julianne, you better let Harry Potter know you're stopping by because the weather is looking pretty good. We're going to have a beautiful day with some sun and a few clouds. We're looking at a high of 89 degrees and we have a humidity of 73%. Winds are going north to northeast at about 8 miles per hour. There's only about a 4% chance of rain, so no need to grab an umbrella. It's a perfect day to go out. Grab your wands because it looks like you're heading to Hogwarts. Grab me a butterbeer while you're at it, and back to you guys.
All right, looks like we'll see you there. Learn more about recent news of one of our favorite superheroes in the DC world.
Plus, hear about this year's Fall Harvest Festival. DC Comics just released that Jonathan Kent, son of Superman, recently came out as bisexual. Nightly News reporter Philip Wright tells us more about what's happening to the new Superman.
From movies to video games to comic books, Superman remains as one of the most iconic superheroes of all time. The 5th issue of the DC Comics series, titled Superman, Son of Kal-El, centers around Jonathan Kent, who is the son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane. The issue touches on Kent's new love interest, Jay Nakamura. The recent announcement has made Superman a trending topic around campus. Emerging media student Gabe Tobias says he's more worried about if DC Comics is doing it for the right reasons.
We are able to make that story about a bisexual person work and bring a new angle.
Although other DC superheroes have come out in the past, UCF professors think it's because Superman is so iconic why it's having so much of a buzz. Oh my god, my secret identity! Victor Davila is an associate professor of graphic design and illustrations. He says that there is a misconception about what a comic book actually is.
Right way to draw comic books. I think a lot of times we think of comic books as an overly rendered muscular figure that has a cape and can do all these magical or powerful things, and that's not so much the case.
Davila says this is the next step for more diversity in the DC universe. In Orlando, I'm Philip Wright, UCF Nightly News.
As DC Comics releases more information, Nightly News will keep you updated on what happens next. UCF ranks in the top 25 colleges for LGBTQ+ students by bestcollege.com. They are the highest ranking college in Florida. Rankings are based on academics, affordability, and LGBTQ+ services.
UCF Student Engagement and Downtown Student Life held a Fall Harvest Festival in light of Spirit Week on Thursday. The Fall Harvest Festival took place near the Digital Performing Arts Center in UCF's downtown campus. Students took part in a variety of interactive activities, including carnival games. Brianna Lattimore, digital media and web design major, says the festival was a great way to be able to socialize and have fun in a normal setting since the start of the pandemic.
I didn't get much time to go out before, like I was stuck inside. And so being out here and experiencing the college, like the actual college life, has been great.
The day was celebrated with decorative paintings, inflatable bounce houses, and fun for all ages.
Coming up, stay tuned for your weather update.
Plus, find out how students can find internships through different programs.
With more people switching to electric vehicles, UCF is helping a new group charge on in energy research. UCF is now part of a coalition that is looking at current challenges in the electric vehicle market. The group will focus on creating more access to charging stations, lower electric vehicle costs, and switching to an all-electric transportation system. Jim Fenton, director of UCF's Energy Research Center, says that switching to the EVs will have long-term benefits.
So by the time we get to 2030, it's going to be cheaper for everybody to make their house more energy efficient, put solar on their roof, plug in their car.
Fenton says switching to an all-electric system can boost the economy up to $47 billion for the southeast region of the U.S. He says this will help create new jobs.
The Experimental Learning Service at UCF will be hosting a resume and cover letter workshop on Wednesday, October 20th. The office will be hosting a workshop to advise students on how to build on their online brand in November. Other workshops include LinkedIn and job shadowing advising.
The Office of Experimental Learning at UCF helps students find internships through several programs. Advisors at the office matches students with experimental learning courses. The office also offers a Knight's Distinction program to help students prepare for careers. Experimental Learning provides job shadowing for those that are not sure about their careers. Quinn Dang, the director of Experimental Learning, says that she provides an exit survey for all her students.
And ask them, an incoming freshman that's starting this year in your major, what's the one piece of advice you'd give them now that you're done? And 90% of my students say to start earlier than I did.
Dang says 80% of the internships students find through her program turn to job offers. The office holds workshops for all students every month.
UCF positioned number 5 in the nation for granting bachelor's degrees to Hispanic students for 2 years in a row. The Hispanic Outlook magazine recognized UCF for making an impact in the community as a Hispanic serving institution. UCF also ranked number 4 for engineering degrees as well. Julianne Esperaz-Goza, a first-generation industrial engineering major, left Columbia to pursue her dream.
Coming to the U.S., it's a very enriching experience because it might be hard at the beginning, but then you get used to the culture and you learn so many things. You learn the language, the expressions.
Esperanza is also involved in Hispanic associations on campus and is looking forward to being the first one in her family to earn a bachelor's degree in the United States.
Hey Zoe, how's the weather looking like here in Orlando for the rest of the week?
Well, it's looking pretty good. We have a high of 88 degrees in Tallahassee, a high of 87 in Jacksonville, 91 in Tampa, 89 in Orlando, and 85 in Miami. And for our lows, we have a low of 71 degrees in Tallahassee, 63 in Jacksonville, 72 in Tampa, 70 in Orlando, and 74 in Miami. So we're roaming around the 70s. For our 5-day weather forecast, and for our chance of rain, we have 2% in Tallahassee, 3% in Jacksonville, 1% in Tampa, 4% in Orlando, and 44% in Miami. Now for our 5-day forecast, we have a high of 89 degrees on Saturday, 70 on the lows, and 2% chance of rain. On Sunday, we have a high of 81, low of 63, and 11% chance of rain. On Monday, high of 82, low of 66, and 1% chance of rain. Tuesday, we have a high of 86, a low of 69, and a 2% chance of rain. And on Wednesday, we have a high of 85, a low of 68, and a 5% chance of rain. So looking pretty good overall. Now back to you guys.
Coming up in sports, see how the football team prepares for their toughest game of the season.
Plus, see how men's soccer team prepares to face another top 25 opponent.
Happy Friday, Knights fans. I'm Okelo Pena, and this is your UCF Sports Update. Offensive tackle Blessed Harris announced his intent to transfer to UCF on Thursday. It is reported that Harris will enroll at UCF as a graduate student in January. The transfer will have 2 years of eligibility remaining. Losing a big-time player causes the UCF defense to make some adjustments on the line. Defensive tackle Kalia Davis is now out for the rest of the season due to injury. Nightly News reporter Taylor Anderson tells us how this will have an impact on the team for the rest of the season.
Kalia Davis.
There are some players that are hard to replace, and defensive tackle Kalia Davis is one of them. Davis injured his knee late in the second quarter of the Knights game versus ECU. Head coach Gus Malzahn gave an update on Davis's future.
We lost him for the year. That's what we did, and he'll have surgery in the near future.
The other defensive linemen will now have to step up, such as Tremont Morris-Brash and Josh Seliskar.
So far this season, Kalia Davis had racked up 17 tackles. 4.5 of those were for a loss, and he had 1 sack.
Linebacker Tatum Bethune now has the possibility to play more and make plays like he did against ECU to win AAC's Defensive Player of the Week. Bethune touched on how the defense will regroup without Davis.
There's really nothing we can do now. It's just make sure he recover and next man up.
Along with his size and athleticism, Davis also has a smart defensive mind. He was able to affect opposing teams' blocking schemes, and when he was double-teamed, he allowed other players to create more impact plays. With adding another injury to the long list of Knights out for the season, Coach Malzahn said this is a tough loss for the defense.
Phenomenal player, phenomenal person. I think he's one of the best players in our conference, so obviously it's a big blow for us.
In Orlando, Taylor Anderson, UCF Nightly News.
To see how the Knights will execute without Davis, tune into ABC at noon to watch the action. Nightly News will keep you updated on other starter statuses that are out for injuries. The UCF football team will face their toughest test of the season this Saturday as they take on number 3 ranked Cincinnati. The Knights come into this game as 21-point underdogs. Nightly News reporter Johan Blanco tells us how a win can impact the program. On October 16th, the UCF Knights will travel to Ohio as they take on the number 3 ranked Cincinnati Bearcats. This will be the Knights' 3rd conference game of the season and most likely their toughest one. Cincinnati is undefeated at 5-0 and is in position to qualify for the college football playoffs. Head coach Gus Malzahn said that he's excited about the matchup.
Got a good run game, a good pass game. They're really a complete team when you look at them, so it'll be a big challenge for us. I know we're excited.
The Knights have a record of 3 wins and 2 losses, with both of them coming on the road. Not only would a win against Cincinnati be a major upset, but it'll also put UCF back in the AAC Conference Championship picture. UCF is currently ranked 4th in the American Athletic Conference. With a win, the Knights will jump into the top 3. Offensive lineman Matthew Lee said that they will prepare for the Bearcats like they would for any other team.
Want to come out and beat us too. So, like I said, they are a good team and they're number 3 in the country and, they're doing well. But that being said, we're still going to go and try to do the same that we would any other week.
The Knights will look to pull off the upset and improve to 4-2 on the season. In Orlando, Johan Blanco, UCF Nightly News. Coach Malzahn said a win against Cincinnati is more about the team getting better rather than the upset. To support our Knights, tune in tomorrow on ABC at noon to watch the game. The UCF men's soccer team will look to make it 2 upsets in a row as they take on number 23 ranked SMU this Saturday. The Knights will travel to Dallas, Texas to take on their division rival. Last game, they defeated number 6 ranked Tulsa 3-2. Their record is currently at 6 wins and 4 losses. Head coach Scott Calabrese says that the game between SMU is one to look out for.
There's a really good rivalry between SMU and us where we have such respect for that group. We've met in a lot of big games before.
To support our Knights, tune in on ESPN Plus this Saturday at 8 p.m. And the next game, UCF will be on the road as they play Temple on October 22nd. Man, I can't wait for another great week of UCF sports. Julianne and Beatriz, back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Okelo. Well, that's all the time we have for right now. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our website at ucfnightlynews.ucf.edu.
And if you have a story idea you want us to know about, send it our way. You can reach us at nightlynews.ucf.edu. Thanks for watching and have a good day.